Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is your host, Zachary Reality, and I hope you guys are all having a great Tuesday. If you guys are here and you clicked on this video, it's because we are chatting Claim to Fame episode 8. There were 5 people going into this episode: Carson, Chris, Gabriel, Monet, and JR, and we are down 1 more, which means there are 4 people left. So it is so intense, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys about the latest episode. So before we get into the recap, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and click the subscribe button down below so you're always up to date with all my updated videos. And thank you guys so much for getting me to 12,000 subscribers. I did post a video earlier today, this morning, on my Bachelorette recap. There are 2 different videos during this week's recaps for the 2 different shows because of ABC breaking news. I explained in my earlier video that Claim to Fame did not air last night on ABC. I had to watch it today on Hulu because of ABC's breaking news that postponed The Bachelorette an hour later, and then it went right into more breaking news after. So I don't know if it was just for PST. I think it was just for us West Side people. I'm in California, but that is why there are 2 different videos this week. So let's break down Claim to Fame, because this week definitely started off really heavy between Gabriel and Chris. The 2 of them have had an alliance for a really long time. They've both proven to be the 2 biggest strategists of this show, the 2 biggest threats to win. They have the 2 biggest storylines. They're kind of neck and neck with what they know about other players and the relationships they have with other players. I feel like Chris might have more clues, but Gabriel has more alliances, because at this point, everyone is trying to get Chris out. It has truly become like 4 versus 1, except Chris is playing a little bit with Gabriel and Carson, but even they are trying to get him out because nobody can figure out his clue. It seems like a lot of people have figured out Carson's. They have figured out JR's, obviously, but I don't really think they exactly know Monet's. We saw that Chris was trying to start that conversation this week, and Gabriel's, yeah, they should know. Monet did say it correctly, Nick Cannon, but she said it to JR, who denied it, and it kind of seems like JR and Gabriel had an alliance that they were just never going to vote each other off regardless, and Monet, like, they're just refused to get rid of each other. Some people are really honoring loyalty to their alliance members over winning this game. And that's going to be their demise, because if you want to win a game like this, you need to be cutthroat and you need to betray your friends, because it's part of the game and it gets harder as time goes on. And we saw that this week between Chris and Gabriel. Chris showed Gabe's clue to Carson because he thought Carson was going to go home last week, but it was actually Hugo who went home, and he wanted to get ahead of it. I think it was kind of for Chris's gameplay. He didn't want Gabriel to find out that he shared Gabriel's clue with Carson. So he was trying to get ahead of it, but Gabriel did not believe him. And I didn't really believe him either. It was kind of like half and half. Like, yeah, he wanted to get ahead of it, but also he was trying to save himself, because Chris definitely was making some moves to potentially figure out Gabriel's clue and get rid of Gabriel. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, he is your #1 alliance, but it's the final 5. Like, everyone needs to start playing for themselves at this point. Like, right now, they all are collectively trying to get rid of Chris, which is honestly helping Gabriel's game because he can stay undercover, and Monet's game, who is also really staying undercover, even though she did emerge as a big threat this week. You know, if the focus is on Chris and Carson is just kind of like the person other people want to get out, like, you're able to stay under the radar if you are Gabriel and Monet. So they've been doing a really good job at that, but you can't blame Chris for wanting to win and possibly betraying his friends. So Gabriel and Chris got into a huge fight this week. Gabriel called Chris a snake. He said he's playing for yourself. He said you're trying to cover your tracks. And he's saying that actions, character is put into question for Chris. He is a crybaby. He might have been raised privileged in some way, saying that Chris is just not used to not hearing once he wants to hear. And Gabriel is calling him out on his BS. So we do see later on in the episode that they have a moment where they both apologize to each other, and it was kind of a heat in the moment thing. So I understand where Gabriel was coming from. Like, maybe he was calling Chris out, but it was a little harsh. And Chris did have a little bit of a, like, don't say that about me. Like, what? You know, some of these people are more privileged than others based on who their celebrity relatives are. You know, people who have aunts, and if your dad is Donny Osmond, and if you have a famous relative, like, you are going to be privileged, and maybe you aren't used to saying no all the time. So I don't know. Maybe Gabriel was just putting Chris in his place.
I knew you showed it to her.
I didn't really like it because you guys know I am Team Chris. but still, they had a moment. So now we're getting to the challenge, and this is where I wrote the Franklin era, because Kevin Jonas is unable to come back to host this challenge because he is on tour with the Jonas Brothers. So Franklin is hosting this challenge by himself, and I thought he did such a good job. Franklin killed it. He slayed it. I'm glad that he's having like his moment and his claim to fame, right? Because he grew up with three iconic Jonas Brothers who are significantly older than him. He was like the much younger Jonas brother who not everyone knew even existed. So I love that Franklin had his moment. It kind of feels full circle. Go Franklin. So this challenge was so interesting. It was a pop culture trivia quiz where each round Franklin gave a clue and you had to run to guess who he was talking about. And you had to do it really fast. And Monet ended up winning this challenge. I loved this challenge. It reminded me of like the challenges on Survivor, where they're just trying to like think fast and it's pop culture trivia. So Monet won 4 of the rounds and Carson won 1 of the round. And then Chris came in 3rd place. So the bottom 2 from the challenge ended up being JR and Gabriel, which means that everyone in the house is now going to have to vote for who they want to be the guesser out of the 2 of them. Monet really slayed this round. She has proven to be a huge threat, and she has also dropped a few bombs about who her potential celebrity relative is. You know, he has some type of relationship with Kenan Thompson, Jake Gyllenhaal. Her dad worked with Kenan Thompson on SNL. Oh yeah, and then Monet gets a bunch of clues. And one of the interesting clues that Monet gets is that Chris's relative won season 9 of Dancing with the Stars. I'm a huge Dancing with the Stars fan, but I have not been watching that long. I've only been a fan the past few seasons. So no one is able to figure this out, but it was crazy when Monet shaded Dancing with the Stars, being like, well, I feel like celebrities go on this show to kind of amp up their career once it's going downhill. And I was like, shade, shade, and more shade at Dancing with the Stars. Watch one of them be up on that next. So they're really just trying to figure out Chris's relative, and they can't seem to figure it out. They're going through multiple different options like Billy Idol, and Chris is talking to Carson about how she feels like they're all going to guess her if they don't guess him. So like, who are they going to vote for? But Chris actually voted for Gabriel because he feels like he can work with Gabriel, even though they did have their issues. It's better to go with the devil you know than the devil you don't. And since Chris and Gabriel have worked together for so long, he wanted to protect Gabriel, even though they did have that fight, but they made up. And I really can't wait to see Chris and Gabriel square off at the end, because their storyline is like friends and alliance members, and like the 2 rivals is really just building up. And I have no idea what's going to happen, but this is such a solid final 4. So Carson and Monet ended up voting for JR to be the guesser. And JR, he just didn't want to vote out anyone else because he was too close of friends, I think, with Monet, with Gabriel, and maybe even with Carson. So he decides to guess Chris, knowing that he's probably going to get it wrong. And he does get Chris's relative wrong. So Chris is safe again. Go Chris. That is the 3rd time they've tried to put him up for elimination. So when and if Chris wins this game, he has quite the resume, quite the story to tell, because people just don't seem to know who Chris is related to. We know who Chris is related to at home watching. I actually found, disclaimer alert, y'all already know, spoiler alert, not really, but Chris's relative is Donny Osmond. That's his dad. Go to Donny Osmond's Instagram. You will see this caption. I found it on Instagram last week. He is so proud of his son for making new music. And Chris is also on private on Instagram. I went to follow him, but he's on private. They just can't figure it out. I wonder what the cast is going to think when they find out who Chris's celebrity relative is, because they might not just know. They might not know who Donny Osmond is. So since JR was wrong, his celebrity relative was revealed as Lil Nas X, who is his younger brother. I hope y'all know who Lil Nas X is. He's actually one of my favorite artists. I listen to all his music. Are you kidding me? He's such a gay icon. He has the best music ever. Like, what? So like Gen Z. He's like all over TikTok, all his music. Old Town Road. What's that other song of Lil Nas that I like? It's like a love song. Somebody who loves me. I need someone who needs me. And you don't feel right when it's late at night and it's just me and my dreams. Yes. Oh my God. So Lil Nas did a video saying how much he supports his brother, JR, and JR got a little emotional and blamed it on the rain since it was raining, saying that he's so proud of his little brother and like, you know, how much he has taught him about the LGBTQ community and how important it is to just be yourself. And it's just like so true. Like Lil Nas is such an icon, a living legend, and he's just getting his career started. started. Like everyone loves Little Nas. Like if you don't, that's weird. Like his fashion, everything. Oh my God. So, and I kind of figured also throughout the episode that JR was going home because I haven't got spoiled, right? Because I watched it today in the afternoon and I was just like, if Chris was eliminated, there would have been a bigger deal on social media. Like I was avoiding any claim to fame posts on social media, but I just feel like if Chris was eliminated, it would have exploded on social media and I would have accidentally saw it. Because JR was eliminated, I feel like there just wasn't a big reaction because it was kind of his time to go. I feel like he was the weakest link out of the remaining 5. So now we're down to Carson, my queen, Monet, my other queen, Gabriel, and Chris. Honestly, I would be happy if any of them win. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know if there's an episode next week because next week is the Bachelorette 3-hour finale. So we'll definitely keep you guys posted about that. But the claim to fame finale is the week after. So I have no idea how it's going to transpire with the final 4. Like I said earlier in other videos, I did not watch season 1. So I don't know what happens at the end. All I know is that some people do come back. So I don't know if they're coming back just to watch it or to vote in some capacity, which I don't think it is, but I'm really invested to see how this plays out. So let me know in the comments who you guys think is going to win Claim to Fame and what you guys thought of episode 8. And if you have not caught up on my Claim to Fame interviews, I did interview Olivia a couple weeks ago, Carly and Jada from this season. So you guys can watch those interviews on my channel or listen to it on my podcast if you want to hear some more behind the scenes about their eliminations on Claim to Fame and what they think of the season.
In hindsight, since no one knew who I was, even I would want me to guess wrong if I was in their position.
And the thing that became hard for me immediately was that from the moment I met my castmates, I loved them. I loved every one of them. And I was like, okay, you're going to have to put on this tough face and you're going to have to play and you're going to have to be like sassy and amazing and do your thing. And I just couldn't keep it up. I liked him too much. You don't know how many people have messaged me and said, but Hugo.
Like easier clues, or how much was just like alliances and friendships?
At that point, there was no like alliances at that point because we were filming for 2 days. And just in those 2 days, we all became so close, you know, and you don't have phones. And so you're just like constantly talking to each other and we laughed so much. It was so much fun.
So definitely stay tuned for more Claim to Fame recaps on my channel. You guys can give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Ring the bell so you're notified whenever I post a new video. And thank you all so much for watching this YouTube video, getting me to 12,000 subscribers. And I have more videos coming soon, so I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye. Peace.